it's now my privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the visionary behind this movement. I call this a movement. I don't call it an event, because it goes far beyond an event. Some people build careers, some people build companies, and a rare few build movements. Lucy Quist belongs firmly in that movement category. Lucy is a Ghanaian British author, leadership expert, and one of Africa's most respected voices on transformation. As former CEO of Airtel Ghana, she became the first Ghanaian woman to lead a multinational telecommunications company, an achievement that would be impressive enough on its own, wouldn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Don't you agree? But no, Lucy didn't stop there. Through her leadership, writing, and advocacy, she has challenged Africans to think differently about possibility, prosperity, and purpose. Through her best-selling book, The Bold New Normal, and through this conference platform, founded in 2022, she has created a movement that continues to inspire action across the continent and beyond. In many of her profound speeches, which I have had the privilege of listening to, a simple but powerful question consistently emerges for me, and that is, what becomes possible when Africans stop waiting for change and start becoming that change? That is another question I think we should carry through the day as we go through the various panels today as well. Today, as we launch the first UK edition of this conference, there could be no better person to set the tone for the conversations ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you're able to, and join me in giving a huge, enthusiastic, and well-deserved welcome and round of applause to the founder of the Bold New Normal, Lucy Quist.
Good morning, and thank you very much. You're very kind. Please be seated. First of all, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful that you've taken the time this Saturday morning to be here with us to spend the day as we talk about our shared prosperity. And while I'm at it, I have to say a very big thank you as well to our sponsors, IMS2 and Margins ID Group, Moses, James, Mina, and team, thank you so much. We wouldn't be here without you. We also have Pay Angel somewhere in the room as well. I think they're outside. But again, it's all possible because we have the support of people who believe in the vision. And every single one of you who have committed your resources to being here, got your ticket, bought your ticket, dressed up and come here today, I want to say a very big thank you. Normally, when I open the Bold New Normal conference, it's to not just set the tone, but really every single word and every moment of the day is curated as the Bold New Normal. It's not just the speech, it's the person, the people that we bring here, what they embody, what they represent on this journey. And so it's so important that as we encounter them, please be actively in the room every step of the way. It's a precious day, and it's so important that you engage the room throughout the day. I'll start off with a few thoughts on the, thank you. Also, I was missing something, thank you. So, today we're really focused on the diaspora because, you know, when the president of Ghana was here a few weeks ago, last week it was, he talked about how the Ghanaian diaspora is the 17th region of Ghana. Ghana has 16 regions for those who don't know. But the fact of the matter is that what he said really embodies what the whole of Africa understands, that the diaspora is part of our journey as a continent to success. And so that's why the Bold New Normal conference in London is so important today. Our vision has been a very simple one that we've worked with for several years, and I'll tell you a bit more about the years. But we truly at the Bold New Normal believe that we can work together so that the materialization of a bold new Africa where everyone has the opportunities to self-actualize, to really live the best of their God-given gifts. We believe that's possible if we join hands together to build that. We know that we have to create the right opportunities for people. We know that we have to give people room to thrive. And that's why we're here at the Bold New Normal. And Linda talked about people asking whether she will ever move home. I strongly believe that we can join hands and work together wherever we find ourselves. Some of you sit in boardrooms where you're making choices and decisions where you can influence the outcome for Africa. Some of you have the opportunity to mentor a young person. Some of you have the opportunity to send money and invest in a company in Africa. Some of you have the opportunity to do so many things, but sometimes we hold ourselves back. I'm really grateful for this journey, which literally started right here in London, as most people probably don't realize. And to be honest, sometimes I am remiss to remember. But in 2016, I had the opportunity to come to London to present the Bold New Normal, or as I called it at the time, a new normal in my TED Talk. And by the time I finished the TED Talk, the organizers said I had said bold so many times that they were convinced that what I really meant was a bold new normal. And that, ladies and gentlemen, in 2016 is how the Bold New Normal was formally born, right here on these shores of the United Kingdom. In 2019, the Bold New Normal became a book, a copy of which you all have. And it really was an opportunity to bring together all of those thoughts in one place. And you know, one of them, by now you probably realize that, you know, based on some of my schooling, I also have an affinity to different schools across Ghana. And I remember so well Albert Okran interviewing me and asking me how I felt that my thoughts would go places where I'm not. Because once you write a book, it goes out for commentary. And I said, I'd never thought about it that way. I just thought it was the next thing I had to do. And the reason why I'm sharing this journey is that sometimes we have things that we want to start off and do. Please don't hesitate, because the world needs what you have to offer. When we did the TED Talk, and Precious Who Prayed was one of the people who helped me prepare for that TED Talk 10 years ago, I didn't know there was going to be a book. And in 2019, when we had the book, I didn't know we were going to have a conference in 2022. But when the vision emerged into a conference, and I asked for help, and I went out there and I pleaded for people to support, I got the support. And especially in the form of sponsorship, which you know is really important. And from that time in 2022, Margins ID Group has supported every single conference that we've hosted. Thank you very much. But it's a reflection of a belief in a vision of what we're trying to do. 2025 brought new territories. And so now we have a podcast. We're now in season 2. We're editing season 2 to go out. The book has now been translated into French by a volunteer. Someone volunteered and translated that book herself, right? And that video you saw earlier, that music was also by someone who volunteered to create it. My point is that on this journey of realizing our potential and self-actualization, none of us are going to go alone. None of us are smart enough, have enough capacity, enough ability to really bring everything to life. We've got to find partners, and we've got to accept help, and we have to have the humility to know that there are people who can do things that we can't do. We do our best and allow other people to help us on that journey. This is our reality as Africans. By the time Linda finished, we were all standing, so I'm going to call us all Africans. If you're here and you're not African, you love Africa, that's why you're here. So we're Africans here today. But this is our reality, and I hope I'm not standing in anybody's way to see what's on the screen. But the reality of this map is that it's a map of the world, obviously, but the blue outline is the map of the world we normally see, right? The pink is the actual. Think about it. We come from a continent that occupies a huge amount of the Earth's surface by land mass. And yet we behave like we're tenants of the world. Think about it. That pink bit is the real map of the world, the real land, not the drawing. All those blue things, they don't actually exist in reality. Or to give you another data point, I hope you all realize that the United Kingdom is approximately the size of Ghana. Same size. So if you have to do something in northern Ghana and you think it's far, but you don't think it's far to go to Scotland, then there's something wrong. Right? This is our reality. Another view of our reality is this. The map is there, but first I told you how much of the land we occupy, but how much of the GDP do we contribute? Just think about it. We're attributed 2.8% of the world's GDP. Now let me put that in perspective. A certain company just had an IPO and the CEO is now a trillionaire, okay? We, as a continent of 1.5 billion people, have a GDP of 3.5 trillion. What I'm trying to transmit to you is the urgency of our time. We don't have time to be lackadaisical. We don't have time to show up when we feel like showing up. We don't have time to do the thing we can do today, tomorrow. We don't have that kind of time. Because actually, that number, what upsets me most about that number, what upsets me the most about that number is something you probably missed on an earlier slide. Look at that first picture, right there. That number, that 3.1 behind me in that screen, was our contribution to GDP in 2016. Right? And when I gave that TED talk, I talked about how the World Bank had projected that we'd get to, I think the figure I presented was 3.5 by 20, this is 2016, 2030 or so, 5 years or so years out. So we've gone from 3.1 with hope to 2.8. Yes, the absolute number has grown. It used to be 3 trillion, now it's 3.5. But the world is growing faster than we're growing. So that's another thing we have to reconcile. We're making progress, but we're not making progress fast enough. It's like me racing Usain Bolt, right? But in this case, Usain Bolt is not only faster than me, but he's 50 meters ahead of me. If I don't have some technological acceleration or something that gives me an advantage, I'm never going to catch Usain Bolt. You know that, I know that. And so we need to shift our thinking. Our mindset can't be a little bit more because we have a burning platform to solve for future generations. Future generations. And create a continent where they can truly prosper. We should stop taking pride in our individual small successes because if all of us don't get there, none of us arrives. I tell the story of a young man who asked me that question when I was the CEO of Airtel in Ghana. I went to give a talk in Kumasi. And in the room, he asked me, "Madam, how does it feel now that you have arrived?" You know, we have that mentality, I have a big job now, so I'm done. So I smiled and I held his hand and I said, "Come with me." We walked across the room and we went to the window. And I said, "Look outside. Just look outside." And he looked outside. I said, "Does this look like the country of somebody who's arrived?" We can't claim arrival if everything around us does not speak to arrival. We need to step away from this small town mentality of, I'm better than the rest of the town, so I'm good. It's still your town. So this is our burning platform. And in the afternoon, after we've heard from all of our speakers, I'll bring our thoughts together in the second half of my delivery, where we talk about some of the things we will actually do. But here's the thing. As the years have gone by, and now it's 10 years since formally being around, we've challenged ourselves to think more about what it really means to create the bold new normal. If every human being is going to self-actualize, then they need heart. Every human being needs access to great healthcare. That's our H. Every human being needs access to great education. That's our E. We need agriculture because we need to feed ourselves. We need to make some of the drugs that we need to in our healthcare as well. But these three things, you'd agree, need vehicles that make them happen. And we believe, and I keep saying we intentionally because, as I said, we don't do anything alone. I don't do anything alone. And so we know that real enterprise that creates jobs, creates opportunities, gives people the opportunity to really live the best of their talent and grow, is how you build countries, is how you build economies, is how that GDP number will change. And as Africans, our goal should be that that benefit travels across the continent, which we call trade beyond borders. These have to be things that we intentionally think about, not just for the 5 people we know, or the 2 people we gave birth to, or the people who are around us, but for our nations individually. And I believe that as a diaspora, we have a huge opportunity here. So let me leave you with a couple of challenges. This picture was taken in January of 2020, just before COVID, 2 months before COVID. What was the scene? The scene was Boris Johnson was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And he decided that he had to have a really big outing of showing his connection to Africa. And so he convened the UK-Africa Summit. At this summit, someone in the planning committee, a young Ghanaian woman who she keeps saying she's my mentee. I think she's past that now, but let's leave it at that for now. But she happened to be in the room. And when they asked her who would be the right moderator for Boris Johnson's summit, she recommended me. And that's how I came to be the moderator for the UK Africa Investment Summit in January of 2020. Now, that mentee story is important because, like I said, we build connections. But the other thing that's important from this story is that Boris Johnson summoned 21 of our African presidents to the United Kingdom. Think about it. You know that tiny country I showed you up on the map? Summoned 21 people from that big place to come to his town. Do I have to say more? The equation isn't right. But at least they found an African to moderate it, so that kind of, makes it okay. But I was astounded, right? And the point wasn't to show you all the presidents that I had to interview on the day, which was a privilege, but I did ask myself, why are they all here? Why aren't they summoning him there? There's something wrong with this equation, right? The people on that stage, the guy right next to me is David Malpass. He's the CEO of the World Bank Group. Many of you will know the next gentleman, Tony Elumelu, who is the founder and CEO of Airtel Holdings in Nigeria and big businessman across Africa. The next person, lady, is Ruma Alma, and she was the CEO of Development International Partners. And that guy right there at the very end, he used to be my boss's boss, but at the time, the group CEO of Vodafone, right? But my point is this, why I bring them up. These are the kinds of people who are the decision makers, right? This was the UK Africa Investment Summit context. These are the kinds of people who are the decision makers. Our presidents, 21 of them showed up, including the president of Ghana, let me emphasize. Ghana, Nigeria, Mozambique, they were all there in person. Egypt, they were all there in person. These are the decision makers. They get to say what's happening in the world. And yet I've just told you what we need. We need our heart. So my question is really, really, really simple to everyone in the diaspora in particular. In your organizations, in the places that you find yourselves, what kind of sacrifices and efforts are you going to make to climb that ladder to be the person at that decision-making table so that when the decision is being made and Africa is called up, you will make this decision in favor of us? I couldn't be more serious about that statement if I tried. It takes effort to get to that table. But you've got to make that effort, because if you're in the diaspora and you're here, you owe it to yourself to be the best of yourself, and you owe it to your continent to be the best of yourself, so that that decision maker panel looks different, is my point. And in case you think that the responsibility has all been left to the diaspora, I present to you Irabna, Sydney, Darlington, and Hepsi. Let me tell you who they are. These are people who spoke at the last Bold New Normal conference. Irabna is building a fashion business. She's gone from Ghana and now is building across the African continent. She's gone from where Ghana to Republic of Africa. The thing I love about her most, the first time I met her, she was telling me about the size of the fashion industry globally. She wasn't telling me about Ghana. She wasn't telling me about Africa. She was telling me, I said, who's this young lady? She's telling me, big sister, do you not understand? It's trillions, and if I make this much, I'm like, okay, wow. Born and bred, tech educated, building a business across the continent. Sydney, fintech, Takrady, thriving, really creating financial opportunity for people. Darlington, AI. If you want AI in Ghana, you call Darlington. Hepsi, professor, academic city, university. She's a PhD biomedic from the United Kingdom, packed her bags and baggage and children and moved to Ghana. Now she's raising scientists in Ghana. My point is that we all have a responsibility, and don't think that you're alone. There are people on the continent who are also building. So today you'll hear from many people. You'll hear from people who are on the continent, and you'll hear from people who are not on the continent. But what we share together is the need to create our shared prosperity. So it's your day. Network, talk to people, connect with people. Think about what you have to offer, your skills, your capital, your time, your energy. You have something to offer. Nobody has nothing. Everybody has something to offer. Think about how you're going to create change, what you're going to stop doing, what you're going to start doing, how you're going to make those changes. Be intentional about it. Make proper notes about it. Make a plan about it. But I really, really want you to think about that second bullet really carefully. If today we're sending, I think the figure is about 100 billion in remittances across the continent, 8 billion of that going to Ghana. Imagine if we doubled that, not as remittances, but as investment in businesses on the African continent. Irabna, Darlington, Sydney, Hepsi, they're builders, they're building. Let's shift our thinking and let's have an absolutely great day together. Thank you very much.